Good morning.
Welcome, everybody, to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBears Casino. Ronnie Rance here from the banks of the Cane River in Natchitoches, Louisiana, right outside Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame offices. Tommy Krysan joining us as he does every Friday over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. And Tremonti's has been rocking and rolling with 4th of July and now summertime, picnicking, party by the pool, all that. Go by Tremonti's. Had bull crabs the other day. Pretty good stuff. All right, so today we got a Johnson, and now we got a Jordan as the assistant coach for the LSU Tigers baseball team. The staff is now in place. Jay Johnson, who came from Arizona, coached at Nevada, played ball, grew up in California. He's going West Coast to East Coast as Jordan came from Duke and was there over the last 10 years. And Duke baseball, believe it or not, it's been pretty good for the last 6 years, made the NCAA tournament. He's done a nice job, but it just shows you not afraid to recruit nationally, not afraid to sign coaches nationally. His last set of coaches, his pitching coach came from the West Coast, from Washington and Arizona, and now he's going all the way East Coast on the Carolinas. So we'll get into that. Also, we're right around the corner, starting up. Is it this week or next week, Tommy? The British Open. Is it this weekend?
Next week.
Next weekend. It's the British Open over at the Old Course in St. Andrews. Yeah, I should have known that. We'll tell you about that, some latest news as to that. Plus, give you an update on how Tiger Woods did last weekend, as he's obviously going to be taking on the Old Course. And I've got an Old Course story for you. Played it 5 years ago. I have one story for you. I'll tell you a little bit later on in the show. Ross Dellinger, who does such a good job for Sports Illustrated. He's all over NCAA, this conference realignment. He's always, one of the first ones to kind of break stories in the world of college sports. He's got some interesting thoughts on realignment that Tommy will tell you about. But first, TK, I want to get your thoughts. LSU has a former Mississippi State and Arkansas pitching coach who came from the Minnesota Twins, who's highly thought of as one of the best pitching coaches in America, particularly in college baseball. They go from that to people a little surprised, including myself, that the new recruiting coordinator has no ties to this area, no ties really to the SEC, no ties to Louisiana, no ties to Jay Johnson that we know of. Maybe we'll find out more if maybe there's something there. But the new assistant coach in baseball, and you only have 2 full-time assistants that are out there able to recruit and all that kind of stuff. So the hires are gigantic. It's like hiring an offense and defensive coordinator. Your recruiting coordinator is now a Duke guy from the East Coast. Are you surprised?
I was a little surprised when I saw the name, and I only know about him what I've read. I did read that Jay Johnson interviewed several people, lots of different people, in order to help make his decision. Hey, we know recruiting is the most important thing. It's absolutely the most important thing, the recruiting. And we also know that when Jay Johnson didn't have a recruiting coordinator, he did pretty good in the portal with getting some guys to come to LSU. The LSU brand, it sells itself nationwide. Now, again, I'm going to defer to Jay Johnson here. He interviewed a bunch of people. He picks Josh Jordan, who had been at Duke, Appalachian State prior to that. And, maybe that guy thinks the same way Jay does as far as getting talent in, catching, pitching, shortstop, center field, right up the middle. You got the best center fielder in America with Dylan Cruz. So I was a little surprised to see the name that came out, but I'm going to, hey, we'll look back, next year at this time, and it may be a great hire or might not be. So I'm going to trust Jay Johnson on it. He knows what he needs. He knows what he wants, and he picked this guy.
Jay Johnson has proven he'll be like Kevin O'Sullivan at Florida. Remember when Kevin O'Sullivan first came into the SEC? I mean, gosh, I don't even know now how many years ago that was, at least 10 or more. The thing that Kevin O'Sullivan did that was sort of new and different at the time, except for when the big schools sent out their assistants to go recruit. Kevin O'Sullivan went and recruited himself. And I remember talking to LSU assistant coaches who said at the time, let's say a Nolan Cain, for example, Hey, if Nolan Cain is out there at the Perfect Game World Series recruiting a player, and next to him is the head coach at the University of Florida as opposed to the second assistant at LSU, that makes a difference for a kid, you know. And Jay Johnson's willing to do that. He's willing to be the guy to go out there and go. Matter of fact, he likes doing it. You know, I talked to him about it this summer, and he missed not being able to do it. He said the transfer portal has changed the way you recruit. He told me at one point, when I saw him around the last week of June, he hadn't even been out yet to any games, and he was looking forward to the Geico National High School Baseball Championships in Baton Rouge so he could actually go to a games and watch some games because that's what he's used to doing all his life. And now they don't do that very often. And so, you know, from that perspective, Jay's a hands-on coach. He's somewhat of a micromanager. He's not going to just turn it over to Jordan or any of the other coaches to go recruit. He's going to be willing to be involved or put himself on the list to be able to do it himself. So, you know, that's a different factor that LSU hasn't had before, and most schools don't have. Usually, it is the assistants that are out there beating the bushes.
Well, it's the old-fashioned way, you know, an eyeball test. You want to see the guy. I can tell you this guy's good, but until you see him with your own eyes and you see what he does, you know, we know the old saying. They want to see what you do after you make an error or after you strike out. How do you interact with your teammates? That's some of the things they look at. Yeah, if a guy hits a home run, okay, good. They want to see the other stuff to learn more about the guy that they, you know, going to give some scholarship money to or NIL money or whatever it may be. So I don't have a problem with it. And Jay Johnson, like you said, he's a very controlling coach, a la Skip Bertman, Nick Saban. They want to have a hand on everything.
Remember the name Reggie Reginelli? Yes. I got a Reggie Reginelli story for you.
I got one for you too, but go ahead.
You got to be old to know that name. But Reggie Reginelli was a two-sport athlete at Tulane, played football and baseball. And I was a bat boy for UNO for a few years, part-time under the Maestri days, 82, 84. They went to the World Series in 84, first Louisiana school to do that, went to Omaha. And I can remember a story by a scout who was a friend of mine. And later in life, I found this story out maybe a year after it happened, but it was an old coach of mine who was a scout. And he said that he went to go watch Reggie Reginelli. You know, the team had sent him to go watch some players, and Reggie Reginelli was one of the players on the list that he needed to do a report for. And Reggie Reginelli popped up a fly ball to the infield or something. It was one, you know, and he didn't run it out. He took a few steps out of the box, kind of basically stopped. Once the guy caught it, he just stopped running and kind of went back to the dugout and was disgusted. And the scout immediately marked him off, packed up his book and left. You know, he was like his last guy to see, and said, I saw everything I needed to see. He didn't run the ball out.
Well, first off,
and it may not matter if you're Dylan Cruz, right? You know, or Albert Bell, you get a little extra rope there. But if you're Reggie Reginelli and you're battling probably just to get drafted, then those things matter more than the other.
Well, first thing I remember, he was a great athlete. I know Reggie. He's a great guy. The 82 Tulane football team that beat Allen Risher and the Tigers in Tiger Stadium major upset. Reggie had 2 or 3 touchdowns that night as a tailback for Tulane. But then on the other side of Reggie's career, OTK struck him out 3 times in the same game at Tulane. You know, he was batted lefty, and curveball was working that day, and he just couldn't hit it. And we actually went to Ye Old College Gym after players from both teams, and I bought Reggie a bunch of beers for swinging and missing all day.
Nice. Well, that said, you know, Jay Johnson's not going to let this thing. You know, whether the Jordan experiment works or not, I don't know that we'll know or tell for a while. The one thing we do know is Jay Johnson's not willing to pull the cord and say, hey, this didn't work, and get another assistant coach. And he's going to be very hands-on and do what he needs to do, and he'll be out there. So interesting hire. The team is all set. Now LSU baseball sits around and waits for the draft on July 17th. So big goings on between July 17th. One of the biggest people is a guy like Joe Bear. What do teams value on a guy like Joe Bear? Is it the 18 homers or is it 248 batting average? He's a conundrum because even Jay Johnson doesn't know where he'll get drafted, if he'll get drafted, you know, all that sort of thing. I think he's going to get drafted because I think the kid really wants to be drafted. And I think probably he's saying to the pro scouts, I'll sign. But will he get drafted in the top 10 rounds to where, he's really got a decision to make? Or will he get drafted in the 17th round to where, come on, are you really going to take 17th round money or instead of not going back to LSU? So, we shall see. But I think the kid wants to be drafted. I think he's saying a realistic number. Like, I'll take whatever's fair for the round. But it's an interesting deal. I do think he's a better hitter than 248, Tommy, but he hit 248. And the stats don't lie when you've been, you're in there from game one, you're in there at the end of the year. But those 18 homers, there's not a lot of people walking the planet that have power from the left side, and he's one of them.
Well, they're going to see the power, and Major League Baseball now is more about the power than the 248. The other thing about the 248 is probably a month plus into the season, he was hitting 350. So it really went south after that, But like Todd Walker always says, it's an average for a reason. It's over time. It doesn't mean what'd you do Saturday, what'd you do Tuesday night. So I think they'll look at that power, and somebody's going to fall in love with that power from the left side. And, nowadays, Major League Baseball, they're okay if you hit 248 and you knock the ball over the fence every now and then. I mean, Joey Gallo can't hit his weight, and he's going to be out of New York after this year. When they got him, I thought that, because me, I watch a lot of Texas Rangers ball, and I didn't think he was, a good enough player. I thought he was overrated. And he failed miserably in New York because he can't hit. And Joe Bear, if he can hit and come up with 248, but if he can hit the big fly, somebody's going to like him. Again, you just got to have one of the teams that say, hey, we want Joe Bear. You don't have to have them all like you.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, like a team like, say, the Yankees, for example, I mean,
with right field being a
290 to right field.
You and I could throw it over the fence.
I mean, it's really ridiculous that the fence is so short. But that said, if you're a left-handed hitter and you have pull power, and clearly he does, you give up a little bit for a guy like that. So we'll see what happens. But Joe Bear to me is one of the more interesting LSU players because we kind of have an idea of everybody else, but he is one that it could go. He could be a 4th round pick. He could be a 14th round pick. He could not get drafted. I mean, who knows? Yeah. But we'll be keeping an eye on him. That's on the 17th. Is the deal? All right. What else we got? You told me you watched a little live golf. I mean, you watched a little golf over the last few days, and over in Scotland, and of course, no mention of live. They're doing a good job of boycotting that thing. But Tiger Woods did a pro-am a few days ago. How did he look in preparation for the British Open?
He had like 10 bogeys in one of the rounds. He chipped in for an eagle. Of course, they showed that 9,000 times. But, you can tell the leg, he's favoring it. You can tell it's not normal. I mean, he almost lost his leg due to that vehicle crash. And, you never say never, but Tiger's he thinks he's at that level. He wants to try it at a high level. I just don't know that it's going to happen again. Because, the leg thing and then all the other surgeries he's had, I mean, his body, it's been cut open more than a handful of times for lots of reasons. And, you expect, Tiger Woods to be Tiger Woods. But, hey, he moves the needle. The crowd, he'll have the biggest crowds on the holes at St. Andrews. I mean, the camera's going to show him walking down the fairway instead of somebody else making a birdie putt. I mean, all that's going to happen. So his impact on the game of golf financially. All the other tour players, they love Tiger Woods because the purses have went up by millions since he came around, and that helps.
Tiger Woods was live before live.
Yeah, he really was. And then of course I watched a lot of the Scottish Open yesterday. It's on again. They got it on at Tremonti's here. They're not talking about live golf. I mean, there's memos going out to announcers and golfers saying, "Hey, let's talk about something else."
Aren't they going to change the name?
Yeah, they're going to change the name. They haven't said when or what it's going to be, but they're going to, live is the Roman numeral for 54, and they play 54 hole tournaments. That's how that came to be. But they're going to come up with something else, and whatever, we'll figure that out.
So my British Open story, You know the road hole course? I mean, road hole, which is number 17. Okay.
Right.
It's the famous hole where there's the hotel on the right-hand side of the fairway. And in order to truly play it the best, you kind of have to fly it over the corner of the hotel.
Correct.
That's the shot. I mean, you can go around it a different way, but you'd be laying up and all that. But if you really want to go for it, you basically take a driver 3-wood and you try to throw it over the kind of corner of the hotel. So I'm playing one of the best rounds of my life at that time. At the time, I was a worse golfer than I became during COVID, and so for me to break 90 was a big deal. I had, that was kind of the barometer. Where now I'm trying to break 80. Back then, I was trying to break 90, and I get to the 17th hole and I'm having a good round. Like hey, if I bogey the next couple holes, I'm gonna break 90, or just. And so I get up on the box and I start thinking about it. And there's this hotel, and look, it's a much closer in person than it is on TV. That building, right there. And I hit, and I have an open stance, Tommy, because I'm going a little bit open stance, playing the ball just a little bit back in my stance, trying to get that, a little bit of a slice, right? And I smoked that hotel. I don't know. Just hit the side of that sucker. I don't know if there's a net in front of it. I can't really remember, but I freaking smoked that thing dead center into the hotel. I was like, okay, got to re-tee. And then, of course, the Bubba shot, it was a great one, but the second shot. But, the first one, I'm thinking about, man, if I just double bogey the next 2 holes, I'm going to break 90. And I just off the toe, just bam. Right into
so they didn't need a wake-up call at the hotel. You woke everybody up. That's good.
But it's a cool course.
That's an iconic hole with the hotel, the little bridge, which every great golfer takes the picture from Palmer to Nicklaus to Ballesteros. They've all done it. And I guarantee, I don't know a lot of things, Ronnie. Tiger Woods is going to have about 9 million pictures of him taken on that bridge, doing the little wave and all of that, because it's in all likelihood the last time he crosses that bridge in tournament competition.
Yeah, maybe he can play at some point. I think it's probably the last time he crosses that bridge and let's hope he crosses that bridge on the weekend, right? Let's hope it's not on Friday.
Yeah, it might be Friday.
Yeah, but if it's the last time he's going to cross that bridge with any sort of chance, right, to do well in the tournament. He can obviously, they'll have him back whenever, but it's the last time he'll have a chance to cross that bridge with any sort of shot to make the cut or, maybe finish in the top 20 or something like that. Potentially, although it doesn't look like it. But look, I'm done with ever counting Tiger Woods out. I thought he was done 3-4 times in his career, and here he is. So the idea that, well, he shot 77, 72 last week over in Scotland in a different tournament or something like that. Oh, he's got no shot. You'll never hear me say that, because that dude has proven me wrong one too many times. And so therefore I'm keeping my mouth shut and I'm just going to wait to see it,
Well, he's as mentally strong as any athlete's ever been, maybe even Jordan-esque,
Yeah.
He has the ability to turn it mentally and do nothing but what the shot in front of him or the putt in front of him or whatever. And if he can avoid the mistakes, like you and I go play golf and we try to avoid that double bogey. We try to avoid that, ball in the water. He's just trying to, avoid mistakes, keep them at a minimum. And then, it would be great to see him make the weekend. I've always liked the British Open because you get up real early in the morning and there it is, you're kind of laying in bed, checking out the golf, and be interested to see what the weather conditions will do. That's a complete unknown, and it can change, every couple of hours over there. They must think they're in Louisiana or something. But no, I'm looking forward to it. And again, Tiger moves the needle. They're going to mention his name. They're going to show him getting in the parking lot. We know what's going to happen.
Speaking of moving the needle, the Baton Rouge Rougarou are 3-1 in their last 4. 4-1 in their last 5. They knocked off Seguin last night. They now play. They'll play the next few days. They play Victoria today and tomorrow. and then Acadiana on Sunday. So 3 more games in a row before an off day on Monday. But go to brrougarou.com, brrougarou.com. And don't forget, you can watch all the games live on texascollegiateleague.com, or you can go to brrougarou.com. Right on the schedule where you find that game, there's a little TV or microphone icon. Click on it, and you can watch the games live wherever they are, at home or on the road. But the Rougarou are red hot. They return home Tuesday, the 12th of July, and have a 6-game homestand. So make sure you make your plans to attend. All the games start at 7:05 first pitch, and you can get your tickets at brrougarou.com. And if you've got any young ones out there, we got a baseball camp coming up next Tuesday and Wednesday over at Denham Springs High School from 9 to noon. It's the Rougarou baseball camp over on their brand new all-turf field at Denham Springs High School, 9 to noon both days. You get a lunch, you'll get a T-shirt, a Marucci hat, all for only $100. You can go to brrougarou.com, sign up your son or daughter for that baseball camp next week. Hope you make sure you join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have the team out there each day at many different stations. Myself, I'll be out there working the camp. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, and don't forget Sunday night, I'll be at Fabacher Field over at Acadiana for the Cane Cutters game. It'll be on ESPN 104.5 Baton Rouge, ESPN Radio, same place you hear Sports Shorts Daily, which will be tomorrow morning, 10 to 12, and we'll remind you of that then. But if you want to hear the Rougarou and the Cane Cutters Sunday night, I'm scheduled to be at Fabacher Field and broadcasting the game back to all the good folks in Baton Rouge. But you can get it on the app, the whole bit, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, for Tommy, I'm Ronnie. We'll be back for more Sports Shorts Daily presented by LeBears Casino. We'll be back on Monday morning for an update. We'll tell you about what has transpired in the world of sports. We'll also talk a lot of realignment. We didn't get a chance to run out of time today to talk about some Ross Jellinger comments. We'll get into that on Monday. For Tommy, I'm Ronnie. Don't forget Sports Shorts Radio tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. to noon. Join us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Have a great one, everybody.